Hi, now I'm going to speak something on the basic nature of human beings and his destiny from the scientific and philosophical point of view. Well, we know that man as an individual being is basically a physical being, that is, he has a biological body, rational being, that is, he has a thinking mind, and the third, moral or spiritual being, that is, he has a virtuous heart. Now let's analyze the destiny of man as a physical being. Let's look at this diagram. If we study the physical nature of man, then we find that his physical or biological body, which begins to form at his conception, slowly grows or develops until it reaches a point of maturity. After that, we notice that his health slowly starts to weaken, and slowly with his age, it leads to his death. So we see here that the destiny of man in his physical nature, that is, in his biological body, after his conception is to develop and reach a point of maturity when he is a fully matured man, and then to weaken up, and finally to reach the point of death. The same thing we find also with animals and trees. Let's look at this diagram. The seed, for example, begins to germinate and grow into a tree until it reaches a point of maturity, and then slowly the tree will grow old and will become weaker and weaker. Similarly, the chick grows into a matured hen, and then it grows old and becomes weaker and ultimately dies out. Now the Bible says that man was created by God, and at his beginning, the physical or the biological body of man was perfectly made. It was free from all weaknesses and sicknesses, as we see in this diagram. But because of sin, the same biological body of man began to weaken up, leading to his death, and the whole humanity is now aging towards its death. Now let's analyze the same from the scientific point of view. Now if we reject the biblical account of the creation of man by God and start assuming that man has evolved in nature, then we will find that the overall life of humanity in its physical or biological nature cannot go on evolving forever, but should come to a point of maturity, depending upon the initial potency of its cells, and then it should grow weaker and weaker and should ultimately come to an end. To understand this in a better way, let's take the example of a child. Now when a child is conceived in the womb, the cells of his physical body multiply and his body grows, and after the new cells are produced, the old cells dies out, and this process of multiplication of cells continues till it reaches a point of maturity, when the child becomes a fully grown man, and after that the same body begins to weaken up, leading to the death of the individual man. Similarly, in the case of humanity as a whole, when one generation gives birth to another generation, the old generation dies out, and the new generation then multiplies to produce another generation of people. And now, after studying the physical development of each individual being, we can conclude that the whole of humanity, if it evolved in nature on its own, can evolve up to a point of its maturity, and after that, it will weaken itself and will grow older and older, and ultimately will come to an end. Therefore, the theory of evolution, which says that life will continue to evolve at all time, cannot be true. But according to Bible, The human destiny in his physical or biological nature is that man will be raised back to his original nature at the second coming of Christ, after which he will live forever in the renewed world without end. Thank you.